Hey, today we're talking about the RUC, one of the most misunderstood topics by people looking to relocate their residency, especially for tax purposes, to Paraguay. But before we begin, I just want to apologize for not releasing any new video in the past couple of weeks. As you can see, we've been very busy working on our new office, which is now ready, by the way, to welcome you here in Asunción. Getting back to the RUC, this acronym stands for Registro Único del Contribuyente, or Unique Taxpayer Registry. This might make you think that if someone is a taxpayer and pays taxes in Paraguay, they must be registered to the RUC, right? No, wrong. The RUC is for all economic activities based in Paraguay. This means companies, all companies have a RUC number, non-profit and religious organizations, local branches of multinational companies, and the most relevant for us, the foreigners, freelancers. In short, all personal or business entities that issue invoices must be registered with the RUC. Employees, as well as investors and business owners, are not registered with the RUC, or rather, they will only be registered as individuals with the RUC if they intend to carry out work activities as freelancers and not as employees or investors. So the RUC is not the equivalent to a tax ID like in other countries, where every single resident receives a tax identification number. The number used in Paraguay to uniquely identify a person is simply their cédula number. Now, I'll explain in simple terms who should open a RUC and who shouldn't, how it benefits digital nomads and expats interested in tax residency, how to open a RUC, and the obligations that come with opening a RUC. Starting with who should open a RUC, it's essential to open one if you plan to actually work as a freelancer in Paraguay. And of course, if you have a business in Paraguay, you'll need to open a RUC for your company, but not necessarily for yourself. Now, let's look at the typical case of a digital nomad, digital entrepreneur or remote worker who wants to take advantage of tax residency in Paraguay. As you probably know, there is no minimum number of days that you're required to stay in Paraguay each year to be considered a tax resident. This is one of the main reasons why digital nomads benefit from residency in Paraguay. That being said, in order to obtain a tax residency certificate, you need to have a RUC or be an employee. The tax residency certificate is a very useful document, and it's not uncommon for your home country to ask for one when it's time to approve the cancellation of your tax residency. Since it's very difficult to be hired by a Paraguayan company just to get a tax residency certificate, the most efficient way to formalize your residency in Paraguay is to open a RUC and keep it active. That said, as we've covered in other videos, the most efficient way to manage your business as a digital nomad remains opening an LLC in Wyoming or Delaware, invoicing from there and handling banking through accounts in the US. If you have any doubts about what I just said, you should watch the video above where we go in detail into the tax benefits of residency in Paraguay and how to optimize your structure as a digital nomad. So it's not the most efficient choice to invoice from your RUC in Paraguay, but rather have personal residency in Paraguay and use an LLC, typically in Wyoming, to manage your business. Meanwhile, the RUC is mainly useful as a tool to obtain a tax residency certificate. There is no minimum revenue or profit requirement to keep the RUC active, and it can remain open even if no invoices are sent. A person can also choose not to open a RUC, take residency in Paraguay, and open an LLC in the US. However, it is risky not to have the necessary tools to request a tax residency certificate to show to your home country if needed. At this point, we can move on to the RUC registration process, which is actually very simple. The essential requirement to open a RUC is to have a cédula, which is the Paraguayan ID card. The RUC number assigned to a person is exactly the same as their cédula number, with an additional digit at the end. The process has two steps. The first step is online and is easily done on the SET platform, the Tax Authority of Paraguay, taking about 10 minutes. Once you complete the request for the RUC, within 24 hours, you can physically go to the SET office to collect your credentials. The credentials are simply a PIN and a password, which we will use to log into the Maranga 2 platform. Here you'll register all your invoices, both those you issue to your clients and those your supplier issue to you, provided there are invoices that you need to register. A very important thing about the Maranga 2 platform is the monthly tax returns. In fact, in Paraguay, income declarations are made every month. These declarations must be made every month, even if your income is zero. If you fall behind on monthly declarations, you will have to pay a fine for each missed month to catch up. If the declarations are not up to date, the SET will not issue the tax residency certificate. We typically offer our clients the option to either learn directly from us how to do their monthly declarations, or we can do it for them. The cost starts from $25 per month if no invoices need to be registered, and it increases based on the volume of incoming and outgoing invoices to be recorded. This is the main obligation for anyone with a RUC. VAT is paid to the state once a month, while income tax is paid generally once a year. VAT is specifically a concern for people who have a business in Paraguay and work with local clients. But for most digital nomads, it's actually irrelevant. In fact, the export of digital services to foreign businesses or clients is not subject to VAT in 99% of cases. Income tax, however, is paid on all RUC invoicing, even if the work is performed abroad. In most cases, it's paid just once a year by March of the following year. Before we finish, I also want to talk about another important topic: how having a RUC specifically helps people living in Paraguay or who want to establish a base here while traveling to other countries. Monthly VAT declarations are very useful, for example, when opening a bank account. Typically, you need to show that you've made declarations for at least $400 a month to open a full account, as opposed to a normal basic one. I invite you to watch my video on bank accounts in Paraguay for more information on this. Monthly declarations are also very useful for operations like buying a car on credit, assessing loans, or sometimes for renting an apartment. They are a simple way to demonstrate that you have traceable funds earned through your work in Paraguay. For banks, this is a sign of transparency from a client, while for landlords, it demonstrates the solvency of the person looking to rent. In other cases, one can also demonstrate they have legitimate funds from abroad, of course, maybe through invoices sent to their clients and bank statements from accounts in other countries. However, it will be slower and more complex to provide this proof. Now you know everything there is to know about the RUC. If you need assistance opening a RUC, want help with your monthly declarations, or would like to become a resident of Paraguay, as always, I will leave you our contact details in the description. That's all for today from Asunción. See you in Paraguay!